When I, 19 female, was 3, I was diagnosed with cancer. Of course, I don't remember this time or any of the first couple of years of treatment, and my memory of medical stuff even after is a little fuzzy. However, I am aware of the fact that my parents devoted a lot of time, money and attention to me when I was newly diagnosed and when treatment started. For the first 3 years or so, actually, it made my siblings very jealous, and it sounds like my parents emotionally abandoned them and made them feel selfish for having wants and needs while I was sick. I don't remember any of it, but I've been told enough about those times. That jealousy turned into resentment, and it fractured the relationship between us. They didn't see why being sick meant they had to lose their parents, and I totally get that. At some point, my parents also started to resent me for taking up so much time. The switch flipped with my parents, and it seemed to line up with the time when I was really sick from all the treatments and being dragged around the country to our local hospital and a children's hospital. My mom mentioned a few years ago that I was ungrateful for all they'd done and had told them I didn't want the medicine anymore. This is not a memory I have, but I do remember feeling so tired as a really young kid. By the time I got better, I was tiny, had trouble with food, and hadn't lived a very normal kid life. My life had been medical procedures and chemo and other medications, but the cancer went and it hasn't come back, so far. My parents were very temperamental with me. They would get angry and frustrated if I needed help with homework or had a problem at school. I couldn't say anything about needing their help without it being very clear they were angry. My siblings remained very distant. My parents would try making it up to them sometimes, and other times they got similar treatment to me, just maybe a little less harsh than my parents were with me. They may have been way more harsh with them while I was sick. It was toxic, and every time I tried to reach out to my siblings and say how sorry I was for what had happened, they made their stance clear, and I knew they didn't want me in their lives. They all moved out over several years ago, and I don't have any contact with them now. I tried again after I moved out and was ignored. I had no contact with my parents over a year ago and moved out. It's been great, but they reached out to me on social media a few weeks ago and told me Dad's 60th birthday party is soon and I need to be there. I ignored the first message, so they sent it again, and they told me that it was an order and I needed to do this for them and that I needed to make it up to them. I replied that I was tired of being punished for having cancer and wouldn't help them keep up a facade. They called me ungrateful, spiteful and selfish, and I had no idea how much they had sacrificed for me. I blocked them, but their words have made me question myself. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. No child chooses to get cancer, it just happens. Your parents are human, so of course it was hard, but that's no excuse to punish you for the rest of your life by treating you poorly. Your life sounds like it's been challenging from the start. Do whatever you need to do to be happy, and don't spend any energy on people who would treat you so poorly over something you had zero control over. Honey, I'm so sorry you've gone through all that. I would do exactly what you've done. Maybe your being sick destroyed your family, but that isn't your fault. It's cancer's fault, and your parents for handling it so poorly. I can somewhat imagine what they went through. I've seen cancer take my best friend and so many others. But how they handled it was wrong and not your fault or responsibility. If anything, it's your parents' fault for not giving enough attention to your siblings. I would add that your siblings are idiots. They're grown-ups now. It's not their fault that they adopted your parents' attitude toward you when they were children, but as adults they should realize what happened and not blame you. Oh, and tell them exactly where to put their damn order. You're a grown woman living on your own, and the fact that your parents still think you're going to respond to demands is laughable. Block, and block some more. I pray for your continued good health. I have 2 children, both boys. I'm currently pregnant with my 4th after a loss. My mother-in-law offered to be the gender keeper. She got the confetti cannons. This is my last pregnancy, so I wanted to do a small reveal with close family and friends. My last was during the global issue and we had to skip all the cutesy things. I have 2 boys and of course would adore a little girl. I would also be happy to keep my boy mom crown. But damn, a little girl would just be so freaking sweet. We get to the cannons and mother-in-law hands us both a cannon. My husband gets his to go first and all I see is pink confetti. The sweetest surprise, my life with a daughter flashing in my mind. Hugging my husband, tears shed. I was shaking, happy. I'm always very calm and collected when I'm excited. My mom was crying, happy for me. This was the biggest, best surprise I've ever had. I was expecting a 3rd boy. But soon after celebrating, my mother-in-law interrupted, telling me I have to do mine too. I was so excited to see the pink confetti from my husband's that I never set mine off. I assumed it was also pink, because I'm not having twins, but instead it's blue. I instantly regret my initial ecstatic response. Why are there both colours now? She then hands us the real cannons. They're both pop blue. Of course, I can't match my previous energy. I hugged my husband and people around me and excused myself, and I cried, and I haven't really stopped for hours now. Don't get me wrong, I'm so incredibly thankful for the opportunity to have any children, and I know health is number one. That isn't lost on me, but it's as if I had this space in time where my dream of a daughter came true and experienced the joy of having a girl join my crazy boy-filled family, and now I'm grieving that. I know I'll love my son with all my heart, and I'm not upset he's a boy at all. It's just the roller coaster to find out. It broke my heart today. I feel like an idiot for being so upset, but all this happened in front of an audience. I'm so embarrassed. And this happy video taken of the reveal isn't even real. It's a moment in time I got my heart broken. I don't understand the humour, even if everything had gone according to plan. What was the point? I didn't find the humour or what the end goal was. Am I the idiot for being upset? I'm sorry, but that was either an intentionally cruel or wildly stupid choice from your mother-in-law, because honestly, how else could that have really gone? You do the reveal, you react, and now you do it again? You had a real reaction to a fake situation. There's nothing left emotionally speaking, aside from feeling like the rug's been ripped from underneath you. I'm really sorry you had to go through that, and with an audience to boot. Give yourself some credit. You handled it as gracefully as possible. You didn't flip any tables or cuss anyone out, right? You are not the idiot. I'm very sorry you went through such an emotional ordeal and had your actual reaction taken from you. I hope you have a healthy, easy pregnancy and delivery. The newest little bean is going to be in very capable and loving hands. Your mother-in-law is the stupidest person on the planet. She was expecting you both to let cannons loose at the exact same time, have a bunch of confusion, and then give you the true cannons. It simply didn't occur to her that they would go off at different times. She simply didn't think it through. However, you made it through your gender reveal without starting a wildfire, so that's a win. My wife and I have always been open and never encountered issues with honesty and sharing about our past, so this was strange in my opinion. She just went on a weekend getaway with her friends, some of whom she's close with and others she's met a handful of times. We were chatting when she got back about what they did, and she said one of the nights they played this Esther Perel card game. It's essentially a card game that gives prompts and encourages open and honest communication. It's for friends, couples, etc. I asked how that was, and she said, "Oh good, we didn't play too many rounds, but it was fun." It asked like, "What's the craziest places you've had intimacy?" and "What's one thing you did that you wouldn't want your kids to find out?" I laughed and said, "Oh man, what do you say for that one?" The second question. I assumed it would be something from our previous conversations that was private and delicate, but she said, "Yeah, I'm keeping that one." I didn't hear her well because I was making dinner, so I said, "You're what?" She said, "Yeah, I'm not going to share that. That'll stay with me." Her tone wasn't serious, like it was something along those lines either, but just like, yeah, I won't share that. I didn't really know what to say, so I just kind of brushed it off and continued on with making dinner. She asked if I was mad now, and I said, "I just think it's a little strange that you'd share something with a group of girls, some you hardly know, but then not share it with the person you're closest to." She said, "It's not a big deal, it was back in high school, so it's nothing." From my perspective, this is a game meant for couples to work on open and honest communication. I felt kind of odd knowing she shared this with friends, some of whom are more acquaintances than friends, and immediately put the wall up with me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I go back to the convo and revisit it. Tell her precisely what you say here you feel off about her reply. She played a game with friends geared towards couples having a more open relationship and being truthful. Then she told you about it and let you think she would share. Instead, she let you know she'd shared something intensely personal with friends she had no intention of telling you, her partner. That feels off because it is off. Tell her you're unhappy with her behaviour and require a further explanation. Why would she do that? She said, "I've got a secret, everyone but you knows." I don't think she'd like it. I'm assuming her craziest place she's had intimacy story didn't involve you, so why did she even bring it up to you? That was unnecessary, and her behaviour seems very childish. Very, "I have a secret but I'm not telling you" middle school vibes. She could have told you about her trip without getting into the specifics of the card game prompts. Weird. Yeah, she handled this in the worst possible way, and she told him just enough to make his imagination run wild. He knows it involves something else, and she thinks it's bad enough that he shouldn't know. Why on earth even tell him the specific question just to keep the answer hidden? It's so much worse to give someone just enough to drive them mad. I hope to God this man isn't already anxious at baseline. My anxiety is pretty bad, and if someone tells me, "we need to talk later," I spiral. This crap would send me over the edge. LOL. I, male 38, have a very messy family life. My dad cheated on my mom when I was about 15, and this woman, who I'll call Sarah, also had a son, Mike, 38, who is a few months younger than me. She also cheated on her husband. When the affairs were exposed and divorces were finalized, my dad and Sarah got married, but our parents' plan for a new blended and happy family quickly disappeared since Mike and I had no intention of being each other's brothers. We both lived primarily with our other biological parents. We were rarely in the house together, but very soon we talked it out and decided that we weren't enemies and just wanted nothing to do with each other. So we have as neutral relationships as possible. We don't care for good or bad about the other. We both agreed that my dad and Sarah suck, so when we were cold or impolite to our respective step-parents, we didn't feel like we had to protect them or anything. Paul, male 22, our half-brother, was born a few years later. Due to the age difference and us hating that blended family, we were never close to Paul and had little to no impact on his life. Paul is getting married to Laura, 21, a devout Christian who has been pushing him to unite our family. Laura has been using the wedding to try and get us to play happy family. At first, it started with small annoyances like family chats and trying to get us involved in wedding planning. Originally, Mike and I were just regular guests at the wedding, but Paul asked us, as requested by Laura, to both be his best men. It felt awkward, but Paul never asked for anything, so we accepted. Last weekend, we were supposed to attend a seminar, since Mike and I haven't been to a church in years, to receive training on what to do at the ceremony. However, Paul and Laura set it up. There was a pastor, Laura, Paul, Mike, and our parents when we arrived. We were supposed to spend the weekend healing our family. Sarah and Dad knew this beforehand and were on board. Mike and I not so much, so we just left and opted to pull back from being part of the wedding. This upset Paul. He said that if we weren't going to go as his best men, we wouldn't be invited at all. This was acceptable to Mike and me since neither of us went to each other's weddings, but now the drama is everywhere. Extended family is contacting us to make us budge and all the circus that comes with this type of situation. My wife said that I'm behaving like an idiot and should just suck it up, so I'm starting to doubt. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're well into your middle age now. I'm not mentioning this to offend you. I'm just stressing that you are certainly old enough to know your mind. You and Mike are not a couple of confused teenagers who can be forced to be with the rest of the family through some Christian intervention. I would avoid that wedding as there is hardly any reason to be there. Apart from your father, who you probably had some relation to when you were little, there isn't going to be a single friendly or even familiar face there. By the way, congrats to you and Mike for having settled your relationship in a very adult and mature way a long time ago. Many people could learn from that. Live and let live. Jesus, we were supposed to spend the weekend healing our family. Tell them you were ambushed and lied to. Go no contact with all the idiots sticking their noses in. You and Mike are the most intelligent and mature people in this entire situation. You should not suck it up. Your wife needs to back you up, not throw you under the bus. My sister-in-law Beth is plus-sized. That's her term. She doesn't really seem that overweight to me and has been on a continual weight loss journey for as long as I've known her. The problem is that she is always now talking about what my sister and I eat, that we don't exercise, unfair metabolism, etc. For example, we all had dinner together, and when we ate dessert, she kept saying that she couldn't have any and that it was unfair we could without worrying about the extra pounds. This is where I started to get mad because I noticed my sister, still a teen and very small, put her dessert down and stopped eating it. So then this weekend we were all at my mom's house and Beth started talking about food again and then started analysing my little sister's body. I mean, taking her hand and putting it around my sister's arm and commenting that she could touch her fingers, saying, "Don't worry, soon you'll get a woman body and you'll have fat thighs too," etc. I lost my crap and asked to talk to her privately and, not very nicely, told her that she needed to stop projecting her issues with food onto the rest of us and asked if she was trying to fast-track my little sister to an eating disorder. I said her issue wasn't her weight, it was her crazy, toxic mindset. Then I said something that I totally acknowledged was over the line. Beth and my brother have been trying for kids for a year or so, and I said, if you ever have a daughter, you're going to give her "you're crazy" or something. Now, I did not mean this to be a barb that she will never have children, but that's how she took it. Anyway, after that, she started crying and went to hide in the bathroom. My brother asked what happened, and I told him, and he called me names. I went to the bathroom door and apologized for the comment about kids, but I stand by the rest. Eventually, my sister and I left to get some stuff, and when we returned, bro and sister-in-law were gone. We also talked about my sister being okay with setting boundaries, which doesn't make her mean to say something when Beth acts like that. Then I received a long-winded text from her saying I needed to apologize, not just for the kid comment, but for all of it, and I said, no bueno. My mom and bro are both pressuring me to apologize. My mom just wants to keep the peace. But my sister said thank you and she appreciates it, and I don't want to apologize, except for the kid remark, which I already did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Shame on your mom for not tearing Beth a new butt for her toxic treatment of your little sister. As a woman who was once a teenage girl, your actions meant more to your sister than you may ever know. They're all pressuring you to apologize, but no one mentions Beth apologizing. She's a cry bully, and your bro doesn't get the right to call you names. What the heck is that? They're both toxic people. Cry bully is an underrated term and couldn't more perfectly sum up the sister-in-law. And mom is an idiot at best and a toxic narcissist at worst. Why isn't she getting sister-in-law to apologize to keep the peace? God, I hate that term. Why is she so spineless to not stand up for her daughters? Does she think the sun shines out of her son's butt? Do not apologize for sticking up for your sister.